Nice to see the Canada Jays treating this man so nice. After all, this is Walleye Don, and he brought out 2 big batches of walleye for me. One for me to have it here and one for me to take home to Vonnie. So, birds, treat him nice.
Up.
Good.
What? Nothing gets by these friends. What? You just saw how much Don fed them. What? I think somebody got these birds really spoiled. I just come out here to have a little piece of, people spoil me too. Nice piece of dark chocolate. Last cup of coffee of the day. Yeah. I'm busy. Well, you'll take the whole thing, won't you? I can see that coming. But it's out of my hair. They can all fight about it over there. This is my last probably beautiful day of the trip. I already made up my mind last night. It would be a goof-off day. Well, we're great. Walleye Don stopped by with 2 batches of walleye to feed on. One for home, one for here. So that worked out great. He came out for a nice day. I thought he might show up because he's going to come out. Weather-wise, this was the last really good day. So I've goofed off long enough. I think before dark, I take the little chainsaw, get it sharpened up, and put the trail down this way. I'll get another mile of trail with a few, probably not much to do down there. A few trees might have blown down, but I'll have that open for when we come back this winter. Go down there bird watching and such. It's a pretty rough trail, but it is nice to get down there, and it's a white cedar bog country. Anyway, that's the plan for later this afternoon, and then I don't even want to show you inside. I definitely got to get those dishes done. With everything going on, just having too much fun, I just haven't got to them. You can see there's no smoke coming from the chimney, the fire's out, door's open. Again, last beautiful day. No way I was going to work too hard. I'll just sneak in a little bit here late in the afternoon. Hey, don't look at me. He took it all over there. Go find him, or her, whoever it is. We're on our way to what I call the Ram's Head Trail because there's so many of these pretty scarce Ram's Head orchids grow in the springtime that call the trail that, but I see we have a little work to do to get there. I really love this old trail down through the cedars and spruce. It's so shaded and dark that just the mosses grow, but we do get these trees that fall across that need to be taken care of, especially before winter time when all full of snow and they impede our progress. Yeah, a few little cuts and put the good cedar wood down there, some corduroy in the wet hole, and we're on our way to the next obstacle. Well, we were up at the spring the other day, and what we're looking at here, by my topographical map anyway, it shows that the small stream that starts at that spring, it comes down here and winds its way down through and comes into this cedar swamp down here, and then eventually just disappears because all of the water just kind of goes down into the roots and it doesn't really need a channel. I think maybe at one time 70 or 80 years ago they ran equipment down the creek bed, and that's why it's so open and wide like this. And then it's so wet and shaded down here that no vegetation ever crowds in. We just get those few things that fall over from the side. But it's kind of a dark, quiet trail oftentimes. Kind of nice. This Ram's Head Trail starts out on some higher ground. It doesn't take very long, and we drop down just a little bit, that we change vegetation, and then we move ahead, move into some lower ground down this way, and a little more snag to get out of the way before I move on. Really small little job to cut that brush and get it out of the way, and it's really nice when we come by later with some snow on the ground and we don't have to be worried about getting our skis caught underneath any debris like that laying around. You can see this trail is pretty narrow. I just kind of wind through the trees. A lot of my trails up here, they're on old logging roads and such as that, but this country we're heading into is just a real cedar bottom land, and well, they don't cut cedar much anyway, and they don't cut it anymore at all because, well, it doesn't regenerate really well as a rule, and so they don't want to take it away and have something else replace it as tree type. Got a fair number of nice tamarack that so far have survived the insect blight that's moving through. I've been cutting trees that are in my way for years and lay them down in the wet holes with corduroy, but I think this one we can let stand for another year or so, but as the snow load gets on it, it's going to lower itself down and I'll have to cut it to have it out of my way. But I think it's good for another year. I can get underneath it. We really got to watch where we step as we go down through this type of country, this cedar, and we're pretty much walking on the roots, and so you have to watch out. Sometimes you can step into a cavern like that, and I don't know how far down the next solid ground is. It's pretty easy to stay on this trail down through here because, as you can see, if you go off to the side at all, there's no doubt if the trail didn't go there, and it just shows the impossibility of trying to walk down through here without this channel that I've cut down through all this collection of tipping and fallen trees. There, that's how we want to go, the easy way. Yeah, watch your step. That first step can be a doozy if it's in the wrong place. I think this tree needs to go. Leaning too low and put a foot or two of snow on the ground, and we're not getting underneath that one. You don't want to waste it, so got this cavern right here ready to trip me up. So you just drop them into these holes, and that way next time I walk along I don't fall in. I was walking around here, there was a spot right here. Needs a little help too, so now we're good. Yeah, this looks kind of bad right here, but really it's just a few small cedars fell over, and I think this bigger tree can, it's okay for now. Snip, snip, and we're on our way. I have cut so much fallen stuff in here that really there's most of these low spots I know I can put my foot down, because underneath the moss that's grown in there's white cedar logs laying crossways in all these spots. Usually you can kind of see it, but sometimes they're grown over enough that you put your foot down carefully to make sure you're still on good wood and not falling out of sight. Like I walk along, there's always holes and things that not sure how far down I'd go, but I bet I'd go through to my hip if I stepped into that one. As we headed out, I told you I call this the Ram's Head Trail. As we come down between these two cedar trees right here, this has been a very dependable spot for me to find the ram's heads in the early spring. When I left this year, there was no sign of them here, but I am fairly confident in saying that this is the dried ram's head orchid from this June. These pitcher plants, they're a carnivorous plant. The insects crawl down in there and then they're digested by the plant for its subsistence, because this soil's down here, there's just nothing much here to sustain plants, and so they go that route to live. This one seems particularly bright green for this time of year, but it's right here in the middle of the trail. This little marsh down here in the midst of all this cedar bog, it's wet enough, it stays open. I don't know if it was an old burn hole or what, but it's definitely deeper than the other. This is what I've dubbed Marty Marsh, and come down here oftentimes, and with the winter sun shining against one of my signature sitting places, you know Martin's been around. Yeah, it's been quite a few years ago now, but this big old white cedar was leaning over the trail, and I cut the other chunk of white cedar and rammed it underneath there as a prop to keep it up, and it seems to be working. We just zig a little bit to the left here. There's plenty of headroom to get by. Let the old cedar live for a few more decades or centuries. I think we're going to call it a day. We've cut our way down through all of the big timber. Now we're entering out into what can be best described as a stunted black spruce bog. Black spruce, cedar. Here in the edge maybe a little bit of spruce, but you get up in there, you can see the bright colors getting into the tamarack. They look like they're young enough. They haven't been affected by the insects at all, but the trail down from here, it's not very big trees, so if I come down through here in the wintertime trying to look for some birds, if I just carry a little handsaw and my pruners, I know I can break through out into the even more open black spruce bog. So, enough for one night.